Beginning, the Queen's decree. I never expected to stand in the throne hall of the Zarenth Dominion, much less as the only human allowed past its gates. The Zarenth were a towering species, scaled, powerful, and bred for war. Their empire was one of the oldest in the galaxy. Their ships were lined with rituals older than most human civilizations. Their warriors trained from childhood. And their queen, Queen Verixa the Unbroken, was said to be able to crush a starship hull with her own hands. So imagine my shock when the guards, each twice my height, dragged me before her throne like I was some kind of stowaway insect. I had only come to deliver a diplomatic message from the Human Union, a simple request for peace talks. The Queen's eyes glowed with predatory fire as she examined me. Her armor was made of living metal, shifting slightly with each breath. Her presence felt like gravity itself had doubled. So this is the human who single-handedly saved our border fleet, she said, her voice booming across the throne hall. I gulped. Yes, I had saved them, sort of. A glitch in a human probe had triggered a spatial collapse near the Zarenth border. Their ships would have been pulled in if I hadn't used my shuttle to disrupt the collapse at the last second. It was stupid, reckless, nearly suicidal, but it worked. And apparently, the Queen had heard about it. You offered your life to protect warriors that were not even yours, she continued. You faced death without flinching. Humans often brag of courage, but few possess your level of foolish honesty. I didn't know if that was a compliment. Bring her, the Queen ordered. A side door opened, and in walked the most intimidatingly beautiful creature I had ever seen.
Tall.
Graceful. Impossibly striking. Her scales shimmered soft gold, her eyes glowed silver, and her expression was one of deadly poise. She wore form-fitting ceremonial armor and carried herself like someone who had never known weakness. Princess Kilira, heir to the Zarenth throne. I had seen her on news broadcasts before, always distant, always regal. But now, she stood beside her mother, staring at me like she could measure my worth with a single breath. This is Kilira, the Queen declared. My daughter. My only heir. The princess bowed slightly. A pleasure to meet you, I managed. The Queen stood, her massive frame towering above everyone. Verixa of the Unbroken Line, she announced, declare a pact of blood and legacy. The room went dead silent. Kilira's eyes widened, but not in surprise. In something like shock. I blinked. A what? A joining, the Queen said firmly. Between you and my daughter. My jaw dropped. You want me to? Yes, she said simply. You will bond with her. Bond, I repeated weakly. As in? The Queen leaned forward, voice dropping to a near growl. As in you will give me strong grandchildren, human. I choked on my own breath. Kilira stiffened, her posture rigid and unreadable, but her silvery eyes flicked toward me again, studying me with new intensity. I expected the guards to laugh. I expected someone to shout that this was a joke. Instead, the entire room bowed, except me, still frozen in disbelief. How is this diplomatic? I sputtered. It is not diplomacy, the Queen said. It is survival. She gestured at a massive star map behind her. Our empire stands on the edge of war. Our enemies grow bolder. We need a new alliance, one built not on ink, but on blood.
She pointed at me.
You saved our warriors. You proved your courage. And humans, her tone shifted. Humans reproduce with unusual resilience. Kilira swallowed hard, her throat scales shimmering. And what if I refuse? I asked quietly. The Queen bared her fangs in something between a grin and a threat. You won't. Middle, the princess and the human. Being assigned royal quarters was strange enough. Being assigned the princess's wing was something else entirely. Kilira walked beside me, silent and graceful, her steps barely making sound despite her stature. When the guards left us alone in a corridor lined with glowing murals, she finally spoke. "You look overwhelmed." "That's an understatement," I muttered.
She tilted her head.
"You don't wish to bond with me?"
"What?"
"No, yes, look, you're incredible, but this whole situation is." She cut me off with a raised hand. "I understand. My mother's decisions are forceful. That's one word for it." She laughed softly, surprisingly soft for someone who could snap me in half with one arm. "You are different from the warriors of my people," she said. "Most tremble when they see me. And you don't like that?" I guessed. She hesitated.
"No."
"I want someone who looks at me and sees me, not the throne I will inherit. And what do you see when you look at me?" She stopped walking, turned fully toward me, held my gaze without blinking. "I see the one who risked their life for strangers. The one my mother believes could strengthen our bloodline. The one whose bravery is strangely appealing." I felt my face heat. "But," she added, "I do not want a forced bond either. We Zarenth believe in strength, not coercion." "So you'd refuse your mother?" "For the right reasons," she said. "But I want to understand you first." Over the next days, I learned the truth. Kilira was not just a warrior. She was a scholar. She studied human history, human science, human art. She admired our ability to adapt, to survive, to innovate. She sparred every morning in the Great Hall. I watched once, and instantly understood why her people feared her. Her movements were precise, devastating, graceful like a predator dancer. But she wasn't cold. She laughed. She asked questions. She shared stories about her childhood, her battles, her dreams. One evening she asked, "Do you think humans and Zarenth could truly build a future together?" I shrugged. "Why not? We're both stubborn and too curious for our own good." She smiled, this one softer than all the others. "I like the way you think." The threat.
The peace didn't last.
3 weeks after my arrival, the Zarenth capital was attacked. A rogue coalition known as the Harrowed Fong, old enemies of the Queen, launched an assault with stealth cruisers. They broke through the outer defenses and landed shock troops inside the palace. The chaos erupted. The Queen herself fought at the gates, surrounded by dozens of elite warriors. But there were too many, and some made it past her defenders, straight toward the princess's wing. Kilira grabbed her spear and shoved me behind her. "Stay close," she ordered. "Do not run." Not planning to. She fought like a storm unleashed, every strike lethal, every motion a blur of gold and steel. I managed to grab a fallen soldier's pistol and fired when I could, staying behind her just as she demanded. But then, a blast rocked the corridor. A massive enemy warbeast surged through the smoke, armored and roaring. Kilira dodged, but the thing swung a massive metal limb and slammed her into a pillar. She cried out in pain. "Kilira!" I ran toward her. The beast loomed above her, ready to strike. I didn't think, I just acted. I fired the pistol until it overheated. Sparks burst from the beast's armor, but not enough to stop it. It roared again and raised its limb. "Hey!" I shouted, grabbing a discarded grenade off a fallen guard. "Swallow this." I jammed the grenade into the beast's open throat and tackled Kilira out of the way.
Boom.
The creature exploded into metal shards. Kilira stared at me, stunned. "You saved me. You saved me first." Her eyes softened. Her hand moved slowly toward mine. I felt the warmth of her scaled fingers against my skin, a gentle, deliberate touch. "We fight well together," she whispered. "We do. More enemies approached. Kilira stood, pulling me to my feet. Stay with me, human. I'm not going anywhere. The aftermath. The queen crushed the remaining attackers herself and personally executed the enemy commander. The throne hall was filled with the smell of burning metal and victory. When Kilira and I limped into the room, bloodied but alive, the queen froze. Her eyes fell to where Kilira's hand still rested on mine. Then to the scorch marks on our armor. Then to the warbeast blood covering my face. She approached slowly, towering over both of us. Kilira tensed, but the queen didn't speak to her.
She spoke to me.
You protected my daughter. I swallowed. She protected me. And you did not flee.
No.
You fought. Yes. She stepped closer. Then I have made the correct choice, she declared. Kilira's eyes widened slightly, but she didn't let go of my hand. I didn't let go either. The queen raised her voice, so the entire throne hall could hear. Verixa of the unbroken line, recognize this bond as valid. Mother, Kilira started. But the queen wasn't finished. You saved her life, the queen said. And she allowed you to fight beside her. Kilira blushed, a rare sight for a Zarenth. That alone proves your worth. Then the queen touched my shoulder, a surprisingly gentle gesture. You are strong, human. Not in body, but in spirit. And spirit is what shapes the future of empires. She stepped back and raised a clenched fist. Let it be known, she proclaimed, that the bond between my daughter and the human is not forced, but earned. Kilira turned to me, her expression softening in a way I had never seen before. Do you still feel overwhelmed? She whispered. Honestly, I breathed. A little. She smiled. But I also feel something else. Oh, she asked quietly. I feel ready. Her scales flushed with warm gold, a Zarenth sign of deep emotion. Then, she said, stepping closer, let our bond begin. Ending, a future written in 2 bloodlines. The joining ceremony was held under the twin moons of Zarenth Prime. Warriors surrounded the ceremonial ring, chanting. The queen stood at the center, holding 2 glowing bands of woven starlight. Kilira and I stepped forward. You may refuse, she whispered one last time. Even now. I won't, I said. Not after everything. You choose me, I choose you. She exhaled, trembling for the first time since I met her. And I choose you, human. The queen placed the glowing bands on our wrists. In strength, she declared. In unity, Kilira answered. In future, I added. The queen nodded in satisfaction. Then let the galaxy witness, she announced, the first union of Zarenth and human blood. The crowd roared. Kilira leaned close, her forehead touching mine. Our story begins now, she whispered. And the rest of the galaxy, I murmured, will just have to deal with it. She laughed softly. And in that moment, surrounded by warriors, starlight, and the powerful queen who had brought us together, I realized something. I hadn't just been given the princess. I had been given a new destiny, a future, a family, and a love strong enough to shake empires.